Brief update to something I covered the other day. I know I'm not a Watch Dogs channel, but being a variety channel and liking the Watch Dogs series, I did want to talk about this again. And if you do want to see more Watch Dogs videos, you can let me know down below. Like, I do want to play through at least the first game over on my other channel. But we talked about Watch Dogs. We talked about how the series never really found its identity, something that I think could be an entire video essay. But it came up under the discussion of how they were planning a Watch Dogs movie, supposedly. And that they had cast a star, and that they had a director, and an idea, and it didn't really look like it was going to follow Aiden Pierce. It didn't really look like it was going to follow the characters we knew from previous games, if you played them. It was going to just kind of go its own way and be a tie-in story to the universe. That was the story we covered the other day. But it does look like more and more the Watch Dogs series is either on an indefinite hiatus where it's being, kind of shelved for a while, might be brought back in the future, or it might just be, as this leaker claims, dead and buried. Now, there is a whole history with this person. They go by X Jonathan. They've actually gotten a lot of stuff right in the past. So again, when we talk about this stuff, it could come out tomorrow that Watch Dogs has 12 sequels on the way secretly, and it's, going to be bigger than Assassin's Creed. Look, I don't know. What I do know is that the financial history of Watch Dogs has not been very good. The first game was advertised as something that it really wasn't. I love the first game. I adore it. But that game, specifically, was shown to use tech and shown to have features in it that didn't end up making the final version of the game, and so people felt falsely advertised to, and the game suffered for it. Then Watch Dogs 2 kind of went a different direction, not really listening to feedback, and it decided to go in more of a little bit more of a silly direction, a little bit more of like a silly vigilante hacker direction, and not a serious dark tone like the first game. It obviously had improved gameplay in a lot of ways, a little more depth of world, but it also lost a lot of people that loved the serious story of the first one. The third one didn't do either of these things, and then in kind of a Hail Mary, it tried to bring back original characters in post-launch content, and it tried to, kind of save face. But supposedly Watch Dogs Legion was a pretty big financial failure for Ubisoft, and that was what was actually alluded to from the leaker X Jonathan, where they talked about the state of the series when asked by a user Default, which is a reference to the first game actually. This came up and they talked about how the series is seemingly just kind of done because Legion was a commercial failure and that it supposedly brought forth the cancellation of multiple projects in the series, including a fairly original Battle Royale project. Now, here's the thing with this that I do want to say. This is a very brief video because we don't have in-depth, for sure facts on this concept. But I do want to say this. Watch Dogs is something that has not seen a new entry in years. It's not surprising that it hasn't, especially because Watch Dogs was always a bit of a slow burn for them. They weren't exactly pumping out Watch Dogs games like Assassin's Creed, but Ubisoft does have a history with this, with their games. When they underperform, they don't do as well as they want, those games go away. Look at things like the Splinter Cell series. Supposedly getting a reboot or a relaunch or whatever you want to say, remake, a new game in the franchise that is heavily in development, I think that will at least come out because Ubisoft, it doesn't usually cancel projects if they're close to done, but what it does do as a company is it says, oh, sorry, you didn't make enough money for this arbitrary value we set, and even though it was probably our fault that you didn't because of our advertising or our budget constraints or our time constraints, too bad, here's the finger to the dev team. We're either going to shut down your studio, you're going to go work on something else, we're going to morph this series into something totally different, like what they did with Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six was never like that. Or turning, obviously, you have Ghost Recon has become kind of an open world stealth game in a weird way. They'll either morph the series or they'll kill it off. You don't see Ubisoft games like Splinter Cell really anymore, other than that supposed reboot. Prince of Persia was shelved for many, many years. They just didn't know what to do with it. They obviously brought it back for The Lost Crown, and then the Rogue Prince of Persia, in the near future when this is recorded, So it does really seem that Aiden Pierce's story, like is mentioned in some of these articles, could come back, because they did bring him back, obviously, in Legion. The one thing is he's getting old now, so who knows? There are other characters like Wrench and Marcus that they could bring back in the future, but I do think that the direction they tried to go with Legion, while it was ambitious to try and make a game where the player character can be anybody, it caused a lack of direction, a lack of aim, and it was the third game in the series to have an inconsistent tone. I've talked about it before, but this series never knew what it was. That said, this supposed Battle Royale project goes to show exactly that it didn't know what it was, because nobody asked for a Watch Dogs Battle Royale. Now look, I like Battle Royale, okay? I have a Fortnite code. I'm putting it right here. It helps support my channel. I appreciate when people use it. I was playing Fortnite yesterday with my wife. I like Battle Royale. But you know what? I wouldn't want like a Skyrim Battle Royale. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everything needs a Battle Royale. Not everything needs to be Fortnite or PUBG or Warzone or whatever. And I think Ubisoft is always chasing trends with their stuff, never really solidifying the identity of what that thing is. Even with Assassin's Creed, as much as I like the idea that it can have multiple styles, it's an encapsulation of that idea of, we don't really know what identity to commit to, so let's go in multiple directions. The difference is that series sold, and it had a history and a huge name behind it. Watch Dogs was never able to fully get that name behind it. They were never able to fully decide if they wanted to integrate the Watch Dogs universe into Assassin's Creed or not. They just didn't seem to know what they wanted to do with Watch Dogs as a franchise, and so it comes as no surprise to me that this is either shelved probably indefinitely for a handful of years, or that it may just be gone. I don't really know. It's weird though, because the stories were coming out about the movie recently, so because of that, I'm kind of like, well, if you're doing a movie, is that canceled now too? Or are you going to still do that? And then if that revives interest, are you going to bring the franchise back? I don't know. We've seen that with Fallout, where Fallout was always big, but the TV series brought so many new people to games like, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, New Vegas, even Skyrim, which has nothing to do with Fallout, but it's from Bethesda. It brought a lot of people back to that open world franchise type of game. So it's possible that Ubisoft is banking on doing something like that with Watch Dogs. It's possible that they're sitting here thinking like, okay, well, maybe we're already, deep in development for this movie. Let's get that out. And if that revives some interest, maybe we'll bring this back. Or it's possible that this is just shelved for quite a while. I'm interested to hear your thoughts down below. It's disappointing to me. I always thought this could have been a very cool vigilante hacker type series. I think it just never really committed to what it wanted to be. And because of that, it's three totally different, not even that similar games outside of its gameplay. The story, tone, all those things are very different. And it just kind of fell apart. And it's a shame. It's a real shame that they couldn't figure out what this was going to be, because I truly think there's an amazing concept in here. Love the first game. I might make some more videos on Watch Dogs in the future if you're interested. So let me know in the comments down below. If you want to support this channel, plenty of ways to do so. We have a merch shop as well, cosmobunny.shop in our description. We have also another channel, Degenerate Plays, where we play through games. Been reviewing anime and doing stuff on Magical Jill, my wife's channel. So lots of stuff down there. I hope to see you on some of those. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shui.